Hello and welcome to the week ahead. I'm going to do it a little bit different this week. Here I'm out in a park in hot and sunny and droughty California, and I need to go over and do a bunch of chart review for next week. And I've done it, and I need to share my findings with the person I trade with. And rather than do the usual thing I do, I thought I'll sort of do for you guys what I do for my partner, to share it with both of you. So both of you, all of you. Okay, so how bearish are we is the question I'm asking myself. I have not watched any videos from any of the people that I normally watch. Nothing from Shadow Trader, nothing from Charting Man Dan from the Chart Guys. None of the stuff I normally devour. I'm just sort of trying to look at this with my own eyes and see what I see. And, first of all, let's talk about what happened. So back here last Friday, we had this crazy candle based on a tweet that Trump sent out about China. That he was going to be imposing tariffs, 100% tariffs on China, and that sent the market reeling. It also, it's something that I've been talking about would happen for a while, that we could get a flush because we were sort of extended on the daily time frame and all the moving averages were pushing upwards. And we weren't able to get below any of the shorter term moving averages. So, that happened. We finally flushed them. But then after I posted my weekend video last weekend saying, things are different now, on Sunday night, Trump came out and said, don't worry about China. It's all good. And that sort of sent us put us in a weird spot where the market was kind of ready and I think resolved to going lower for a little bit, and now it's like, what do we do? And I think something that I realized this week is, when that flush happened in the markets, in the crypto markets, the smaller coins were completely liquidated. A lot of traders were liquidated, and one trader even killed himself in his Lamborghini, which is a sign of how dangerous this stuff can be. But, people's lives got ruined that day, and, they were over leveraged, and that kind of thing can happen. So I think that happening, and to that, insane degree, has taken a lot of people who would have been risk on in the market and made them risk off. And we saw it this week with the metals. Early in the week, the metals were soaring, and then by midweek, they've all started coming back down again, deflating. So that's rare earth metals. And even gold on Friday was seeing a flush down. And so let's quickly look at some of those. So CRML, this is one of the metals companies that was coming back down by the end of the week. But we had this, here was Friday, it was a sort of a down day. And then Monday, Tuesday, crazy rally. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, back down. UAMY, 4 gap ups. So 1, 2, 3, 4 gap ups. Huge gap up on Tuesday, and then down from there. Over a 50% retrace there. So, the wind getting taken out of the sails. I'm expecting, I'll come back to what I'm expecting. In the quantum space, it took to the middle of the week for them to start coming off a little bit. So QBTS here coming off, RGTI coming off, IONQ really coming off, and downtrend or daily uptrend broken for sure. And so a lot of things that were high flyers, the steam coming out of them. And I think because of those high flyers now coming back in, because of all the people being liquidated in crypto, it sort of puts a different lens on the market. So my question now is, how bearish are we? And to look at that, I'm going to go back to the Qs, and I want to go over what's going on in this chart. So here, big drop on Friday. And if you look at the daily here, it just kind of looks like maybe a tightening range, maybe chop. But let's zoom in. I'm actually going to go to the hourly. And this is what I see on the hourly time frame, including the extended hours. So here's the Friday drop. One day, serious drop right into after hours, and there's the bottom in after hours. From there, we did have some up and down on the hourly time frame, but ultimately on a larger time frame, like the 4 hour, we just had a low, lower high, higher low, and now a lower high, but pretty close to retracing the whole move. So this is actually not the worst look, and to me, I don't think this looks terrible at all. And if we go back out to the daily, you can look back and see we had a 2-day drop here back in July, end of July, beginning of August. And what did we do then? It was the same sort of thing. We sort of drifted our way back up, and then another pull in, and the trend continues, right? And so, yes, this is a serious flush, but we didn't break the 50-day. We've not been able to reach the bottom of that flush again. This doesn't look terrible. This is sideways. If anything, sideways to up. And so I don't see that as bad. Now, why does it look so good? Well, let's take a look at the Mag 7. Apple looks fantastic. Just forget what's happening on the shorter term time frame. Let's just look at the daily. This is strong. This is a strong stock. Look at it on the weekly here. What's the trend look like? We're basically riding the weekly EMA 12, and we're almost back at all-time high right now. and it looks a little bit like it might be doing maybe an inverse head and shoulders, I don't know, but you're almost at all-time highs. You're just a few percent away, so that's not bearish. That looks great. Google also strong, setting a fresh all-time high this week. Amazon not so strong, so weaker, coming back in, testing the 200-day moving average. Looks like it could be ready to roll over. Microsoft has basically been sideways chopping for a little while, but not really going anywhere. Meta also sort of hit a new all-time high, couldn't reach it again, coming back down, testing the lows. I actually bought this dip, but ended up selling out. And then NVIDIA, through all the weakness that we saw this week, NVIDIA has been holding on, I would say, okay. It's testing the daily EMA 12 here. It touched it, went below it, came back up, closed above it. Touched it again, rallied. So like it's just barely clinging the 50. And so that's not super bullish, but the semis in general are looking pretty good, I think. Look at this, we're just a few percent below all-time high, building a flat top in SMH. And we've seen a lot of strength in names like MU, which had this nice tightening contraction pattern into the daily EMA 12 that then gapped overnight on Thursday. So strong, like looking strong. There have been some names falling apart in the space, like A-Lab sort of fell apart, and a few others. But, AVGO holding on really strong. So the Broadcom doing great, building basically a range now, but the daily 50 coming up underneath and getting into the range. So I'm really curious to see this week what happens with this name. If it does come down lower, is it going to hold the 50 and then start to build up this way and then break out? That would make a lot of sense to me. So I'm thinking deeply about this one and if I want to be involved in it. But generally speaking, that's why QQQ is holding on the way it is, because under the hood we've got, Amazon probably looks the weakest, but Apple and Google almost all-time highs, Meta sort of building out sideways, Microsoft building out sideways, and NVIDIA holding on relatively strong, all of which are above the 50, I think. Let me just double check Amazon. Amazon below the 50, touching it from below, and Meta below. But Google, Apple, NVIDIA, all above, it's looking good. And so that's my thoughts on the market in general. It's, people might be getting pretty bearish, but I think we're just so used to uptrends that any sort of pullback at all feels scary. And the fact that we didn't shoot right back to highs again after that drop last Friday, I think it makes sense given what's happened in the markets recently. And I think that all these high flyers, we do need to pull the pressure off a little bit. But I'm curious to see now, are some of these tech names that have been going sideways while all these high flyers were going, are they going to start to pick up again? Are we going to see the Mag 7 start to really turn around again? So don't know, remains to be seen. But to me, the Qs look pretty strong, and SPY, kind of the same thing. I mean, it basically is the same chart. So I'm not feeling that bearish going into this week. So when I come into this week and I'm planning for what I want to do, I'm just looking for setups. I'm just looking for setups that I want, that I'm excited about, that I'm interested in. And so here's what they are. This week, this is one that I think looks really good. Bloom Energy. This is in a theme that I really like. So it's in. One second, I gotta move my face over here. Fuel cell-based power generation platform. So batteries, and they're doing, like, look at this trend. It's kind of insane. And they've had a bit of a breakout, but I think if this can continue to tighten up and go sideways, this could be something that I'd be interested in finding a breakout in. It did break through 100, which is kind of a big deal, and now it's coming back to test it, and the daily EMA 12 is right below here, so I'm hoping that it does something like this again. This is kind of what I want to see, is we've had this peak, now we're coming back down. I want to see it sort of get tighter and tighter, contracting into the daily EMA 12 in like this, while daily EMA 12 catches up, and then another leg up. That's what I'm thinking about for this one. I'm cautious and aware that it did gap up here. And actually something that I noticed with a lot of the names that I'm looking at is earnings are coming up. A lot of earnings coming up. It seems like on the 28th of October, there's a ton of them. So that's 10 days away from here, where this Sunday, it's currently Saturday, October 18th. So 10 days from now, we got a lot of earnings coming in. So that's 2 weeks away. So you got to be cautious if you're thinking of swings. Something that I'm looking at is I got to be aware that I don't know how long I'm going to be able to swing unless I can manage to get in before. Like if I can catch a move this week that gets really, up far to the upside, and then I can take some profit, then I'd be comfortable holding a little bit into earnings. So we'll see. CEG, this is another one in the energy space that is looking really good to me. It has started to pull in. I think it got a little bit over its skis here when it got so extended from the daily EMA 12. But it's not too. It's only 3 ATR is away from the daily 50, so not super extended. It is riding the daily EMA 12 now, so I'm looking for a back test and a daily higher low. And I can see it didn't get hourly oversold yet, so I'd be pretty excited if it got back down into this spot here, which would get it, I've basically lined up the entry line on this box here with the daily EMA 12, so if it can do this, try to come up on Monday, drop down a little bit more, get hourly oversold, set a higher low, and away you go. That's something that I'd be interested in right there. Core, this just looks like another cup and handle kind of setup, where it definitely has a flat top here. It set a potential daily higher low, and now it's coming back up. So I'd be watching this one to see, does it have a breakout over this range top? And yeah, that's another one that looks pretty good. Walmart had a breakout over this. Here, I'm just going to make this bigger. Had a breakout over this level here that I'd been trying to get above. And now it did a back test and now an inside day on Friday. And so I'm curious to see how does that inside bar break. I might be interested in along above the inside bar top. We will see. I'd be a little bit more comfortable if it continued to tighten up a little bit or come back down and test this level again and then give me like a V shape out of that. That would be kind of cool. So something I'm interested in here is basically the daily higher low after the breakout. It may already be set, and I might try if it breaks this inside bar. Otherwise, I'd be waiting for it to come in a little bit lower. And let's just see, did it get hourly oversold yet? It did. It touched hourly oversold here on Thursday and then rallied on Friday. So curious to see how this breaks on Monday. Tesla has this sort of a low cheat kind of setup here where it had the peak, came down, and it has a ceiling that it's been hitting here over and over and over and over and over. And so I'm expecting it to break that. I don't know if it's going to have follow through or not, but I'm interested in this name. I could see it doing something to bug me like this, where it breaks out and then comes back down and then continues up and comes back down and like just doesn't make it easy, right? Like I could see that happening where you might have to have a wide stop. You might get green, go red, get green, go red. So it's one that I'm interested in though, because I really think that Tesla, as far as robotics go, it's like, to me, it's currently one of the best robotics companies. There's a lot of small speculation names in robotics, but Tesla has, the money behind it to really make robotics work. And I do believe that, robots in our homes is not too far off in the future. So I think of Tesla as a robotics company more than a car company, and that's why I'm interested in this one. AMD, this is on my list, but it's not actually. I just kind of want to watch this one. I talked about how semis have been strong. I think that I'm going to be watching AMD, NVIDIA, and Broadcom. I want to see how they behave this week, because I need them to remain strong if I'm going to believe in any of these other things that I'm interested in the semi space. We have Z-scaler here, which is a very clear cup and handle forming on the daily with a nice key resistance there. This one's a little bit wicky, so you got to have a wide stop on this one. But I can see this, setting some sort of bottom. I would love to actually take a long here somewhere against this low down here, this flush low from Tuesday, October 7th. And then see if that could hold for the move back up to the resistance test above. This space, the cybersecurity space, is a good theme, but the other names in the space are not that strong right now. So CrowdStrike, CRWD, I think is one of them. Also pulling back, sort of a cup and handle-ish kind of pattern. And PanW, also pulling back. And there's another one, Snow maybe? Is that a Snowflake? I think this is another one. Anyway, they're not. I find these difficult to trade, but I really like this setup on Zscaler. So that's a good one. Palantir is range bound. I think this to me is a really great setup where the fact that it's going sideways in this range, you can see here it's just like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I'm really interested in buying if it gets back down to the bottom of the range again and just putting a stop, a fair amount below all of these wicks. There's no specific price point at which I think there is a bottom there. Maybe 170 might be it. I think the lowest it got here in after hours was 170. But yeah, a nice wide stop if it could get down there again for a playback to the upside and a break of the upper range. But honestly, the longer that it goes sideways, the more interested I am. Because sideways under long-term resistance is a good thing. So yeah, interested in that one. I talked about AVGO, but it's sort of in a similar thing where it's got this range that it's been in now for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. Oh, actually, it's been since September 5th. It's been up here since that big gap up. And so you can see what I'm thinking. I think a nice flush down, test of the daily 50 again, possibly into the bottom of this range, maybe even wick below the 50 and come back up. And I'd be interested in a long if it did that. Trying to get a V shape out of that would be something that I'd be really excited about. And then I put MU on here. It's something that I have on watch because it has been so strong. if this strength can, like, I missed this move. I didn't buy this dip, this tightening contraction here that I really wish that I had. But if this holds up and continues to go, that is just proving to me that yes, there's still a lot of strength in the semis. So yeah, paying attention to that one. And actually I should move AMD down here too. So yeah, that's it. So bunch of names I'm looking at. Bit of a different video this week, but obviously when I go back to the Qs, just to summarize, I think as long as we hold, obviously, as long as we hold the low of last Friday, we're good to go. And so far it's been, we're building out higher lows out of here. There's a bit of a resistance level here around 604, 605, 606, somewhere in there. But obviously also, like, 600 is a key level. Like, we're oscillating around it for, the better part of a month now. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens in the week ahead. But I think that nothing is going to change if the lows of last Friday hold. And I'm also curious to see, some of those names I talked about that were the high flyers. How are these going to behave? Like, I have these on here because I really want to see, do these get bounces? Like, this is testing the daily EMA 12. Yes, it pulled back a huge amount, but if it holds here and actually bounces up out of this, are we going to get a tightening? It only retraced just over 50%. So there's a chance we could rally back up and go out of here. We could also just tighten up for a little while and then decide. So I don't think it's necessarily over for the metals yet. And I think it's tough to keep an open mind to these things. When you have these days that are flushing so hard and they're pulling such a huge percentage retracement move. So like CRML here, what did it actually pull back? That was 42% retracement. It's a big loss if you were in it from the top, right? But it's all in perspective. It's holding the daily EMA 12, UAMY below the daily EMA 12, a lot weaker. But QBTS closing above the daily EMA 12 on Friday. And RGTI closing above, even though it dipped below. So anyway, keeping an open mind. I don't think that it's curtains for the market. And I think if anything, you got to give it the benefit of the doubt, considering how strong it's been. I think I would love it if we actually got a little bit more retracement or even just more sideways. Because if the market can remain resilient, then that means that these other names, like individual names, can really go. All right, so that's all I have for this week. I hope you like this different approach, and happy trading in the week ahead. Hey, if you like my indicators on TradingView and you like the content I'm producing here on this channel, please remember to like and subscribe.